Okay, thank you so much, Cristina. Hello, Norella.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much to you for being the enablers of this process of getting together the communities of Wikifactory and the communities of the FabLab network, especially through this collaboration in the project at fablabs.io. This has been like a long process of conversations and aligning strategies together, also meetings in different places of the world, including, I think, Tallinn, Copenhagen, Barcelona, and maybe I'm missing one city or two. So this is not a trivial task that we're trying to do here, which is enabling, as Wikifactory say in their tagline, the internet of production, in which we believe that Fab Labs are a key infrastructure to make this happen, but also that we understand that we need complementary infrastructure for local manufacturing in order to scale up. So, but more importantly around this, I think the collaboration is the key. And then instead of, we as the FabLab network to come and try to develop, the GitHub for the projects of the FabLab network, actually, we found like the perfect partner in crime to do this, which is Wikifactory and all the work that they are doing in order to make the tools, but also to enable the community and to get people together around the importance of distributed design and manufacturing. So I just wanted to say a quick hello. I would stay for the session, but I'm now today in the finals of my students in the Master in Design that we host at EX in Barcelona. I will see a lot of you in Egypt at Fab 15, and I will continue the conversation with Norella, with Cristina, and with all the teams. We don't only meet in different countries, but we also talk like through WhatsApp, to Telegram, to email, to video conferences. So we will keep this conversation happening physically and digitally. So I leave it to you, Cristina and Norella. Thank you so much for inviting me to say this quick hello and enjoy the internet of production. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Norella, and we have here Cristina and Carolina from Wikifactory. Basically, today we wanted to share with you this first vision of the new platform that we have been working together for some time now. And we wanted this not to be just like a session of us explaining you what this new upgrade or new version of the platform is going to be, but also for you to also go with us and do a sort of tutorial and go over the platform and understand it. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask. The idea is that this session can be as interactive as possible so that we can resolve doubts or any questions that you have. So I'll leave it with Carolina and Cristina from Wikifactory.
Awesome. Thanks, Norella. So I'm Cristina. I'm co-founder of Wikifactory. Yeah, there we go. Hey guys, I'm Cristina, co-founder of Wikifactory, and we have Carolina here, who's also communities manager. And it's really exciting to give you guys a very practical and interactive demo, like Norella suggesting, of this new upgrade to the projects area of fablabs.io. Because Thomas has introduced us really nicely. Indeed, we wanted to build an infrastructure that was as powerful as GitHub in terms of enabling digital fabrication projects to collaborate together online. So on the one hand, a powerful file repository where you can host all files related to your projects and also have version control, have a space to share documentation and work together on documentation. And lastly, the issue tracking feedback management system so that different people, whether from the top down, so as a team member asking for help to help advance your project, or welcoming the general community to contribute to your project in different ways. So we're going to go through these different functionalities and how we've tried to also build it for the needs of product development from the ground up. So without further ado, we'll go straight to the demo. And I'll try to make it as practical as possible in terms of how you can get involved. So when you go to fablabs.io, straight away when you click over to projects, it will take you to the white label. And here you can sign in using your existing fablabs.io account. You'll see that, well, it's already done that automatically for me, but in the step prior, it will ask that you add your username from fablabs.io and your password, and automatically will bring you back to projects.fablabs.io. When you create your, sync your accounts, what it will do, it will automatically pull in whatever projects that you might have done previously on fablabs.io, as well as if you have any organizations and if you have projects under those organizations. So for example, we can go through to Nicole, let's say, and here in Nicole's profile, you can see that it pulled her Lightbox project. Additionally, you can also have projects under organizations. So FabLab Barcelona has a few projects that got pulled in from projects on fablabs.io. This is at the heart of it. It's projects, as you know, and now we will go through some of these projects to show what features are now enabled for projects. So we can go through to, let's go through the Smart Citizen enclosure. Straight away, you will see that there's an overview section. In this overview section, it gives a really quick overview of the latest activity, how many contributions there are, the license of the project, and this also has a social aspect to it where you can follow that project, meaning that you will be notified if there's any changes or updates or contributions to that project, so you can be kept abreast. Before I show you the README, I mentioned that projects now have a powerful version control repository. This means that you can host all your files straight away here. We've made it so that it's designed more for product development by making it possible to straight away not only be able to share, say, STL files, but also share source files, whether it's STEP, SolidWorks, CATIA, Rhino. We're CAD agnostic, so you can upload CAD formats of, I think, more than 30 formats. We'll send a link to you with more information of those file formats. And if you click through to any of the CAD files and STL files for that matter, you'll see that you'll be able to render it through the browser. What's really neat is that this rendering is also, or you can view files also on mobile. So the idea here is that you can, send a link to someone to the actual file in your repository on projects.fablabs.io, and someone will be able to review it. In fact, even be able to explode it to see how all the parts come together. And in fact, even give you feedback to it if they like. So this is a really nice agile way where regardless of what CAD tool you decide to choose, you can still involve other people in giving feedback and to improve your design, which ultimately is lacking even on the web. There's not a single 3D file viewer that is open in this way, so I think this is really powerful. We have a very cool geometry kernel underneath Wikifactory that enables this, and we think this is core to enabling collaboration on projects. Like I mentioned, so it's the file drive is very much like, it's meant to be as intuitive as a Dropbox folder, but having the power of version control. This means that whatever changes are done to a project, so it's not just a file dragging and dropping a file into your drive, but every time you make a change to your project, you have to commit a message. So for example, here in this moment, there was more information that was added to the README. You can see that the README file was updated. We're going to be making improvements here, so 3 file has been updated, you'll be able to different versions, but altogether you'll be able to have a whole discussion, if needed, in terms of what contributions has happened in that time. What also becomes possible with this version history is that you don't have to worry whether you're working with the latest version or if someone's going to make changes to your design file that is, that goes out of your hand and you're not being able to track its developments. It's okay, because at any moment of time, you can go back through the history of the changes and download the repository, open it up on your folder, if it decides to open. Open it up in your folder. Oops, what's happening? But basically select the file and drag and drop it back into the drive, and you'll be able to update it. So it takes care of version control in that way. Now, just to double check, can everyone follow me? Is everyone's connection okay?
In case anyone having troubles, you can write in the chat. So we are sure that everybody is following and listening and seeing everything that we're saying.
Exactly. Any questions, anytime that you want me to go through anything specifically, by all means ask a question and I'm happy to take a pause. Now, apart from being able to share design files, key to being able to enable others to contribute to your projects is the documentation, of course. So for that, we have the README file, and what we do is that the README file has an editor view directly on the web. So even though it's a markdown file, which makes it interoperable and exportable if you need to use it in other contexts, but if you go to the overview, you'll see that this README file is a view to that markdown file. And what we've done is we've applied a WYSIWYG editor, as you call it, basically a formatting view to Markdown, so you don't have to be writing Markdown as it typically is done with brackets and so on. You just write documentation like you write up a blog on the web. So you can add photos, videos, a whole bunch of content to your documentation. And what's really key is that following you can invite other members to be able to contribute to that documentation. So it might be that this is a team effort in documenting the project. Well, if you invite people to the project, they can contribute to the README. It's also worth saying that all folders gets its own README file. So potentially there's additional documentation that you might want to specify for different projects. That would be totally for different aspects of the design. You'd be able to do that. Here you see there's no README in this folder, but you can see that there's the placeholder area. So you can, in fact, nest documentation relevant to, in this case, maybe the case chimney enclosure for the Smart Citizen Kit has specific documentation where you'd be able to add that in that specific README to that folder. Now, last but not least, I mentioned that there's files, there's the README, but I want to go quickly back to the home to show a different project, because there's already a whole bunch of projects imported, but I want to show you the crowd. So the crowd project was started by Abhishek during his Fab 15. And it was actually on Wikifactory prior to the launch of FabLabs.io, so it's a little bit more populated, and that's why I wanted to show you. Because here you can see that on top of having all his files, so his electronics files, the programming files, and so forth, and having a really complete README on how to go about it, what he additionally has, and is what I think the cornerstone of collaboration that is now possible on projects on FabLabs.io is the issues. So the issues here is where you can indeed, anyone, it doesn't have to be a contributor to the project or a member of the project, anyone can open an issue and whether it's an idea for an enhancement or they have a bug because they're trying to make it themselves, and they have a question, they can ask it away. So, what can I program the crowd to do, for example? And if I would submit it, it would open up the issue. Now, what's great is that then this issue can enable others to respond to it, whether from the team or others to respond. The issues themselves can be assigned, so it can take on a task management approach. And what's really neat is that issues are altogether flexible. So here we have like a base set of labels of enhancement, discussion, bug, question, but you can create new labels to fit whatever workflow that you desire, whether it's a to-do, doing, done. Maybe you have teams in different locations. So, a label for Peru, Barcelona, whatever it might be. Maybe it's working prototype, proof of concept, working prototype, release. You have that flexibility. And once an issue is complete, you're able to close it if you are the owner of it, and then therefore you'll have a whole log closed. Now, I've just given you a brief run through of how projects work, but I was hoping that I can now take a very practical approach and actually start a project with you, or go through the workflow of how it's like to start a project with you, if that sounds good. So at any point of the projects.fablabs.io page, you'll see that next to your profile, which you can click through to at any time, my profile is on Wikifactory, so it's taking you to Wikifactory, which is worth mentioning here, that the white label is not isolated to the rest of Wikifactory. So if I go to Wikifactory's homepage, you'll be able to see, for example, the Rotocast project. So projects on fablabs.io are also featured on Wikifactory, but if someone on Wikifactory sees the fablabs.io project and clicks through, what it will do, it will take you to fablabs.io. And that way, general maker community worldwide can also contribute. They don't have to be part of the Fab community. So we're also allowing for this merge and cross-fertilization of the different maker communities, which I think would be exciting. But so there's no isolation here, there's no silos in the communities, but indeed at any point where someone clicks through to a user or a project on fablabs.io, it will be fablabs.io. Now, like I said, on any Wikifactory page or any projects.fablabs.io page, you can click through on the plus button, and in this plus button, which is the master action button, you can start getting active. From the start, here you can start a project, which will take you to a form. You can choose to host a project under yourself or under one of the organizations that you might be part of. So let's start a project under myself. Let's make it public. There's a choice of making it a private. Here you can see that it requires subscription. What's really nice is that all fablabs.io members that are part of this alpha stage will have unlimited private projects. You can also start private projects for free. That way, it might be that you have a side project that's not open source, that it very much would need a collaboration platform. Well, now you have it. So here in this form, once you've decided who to share the project under and whether it's public or private, you give it a short and memorable name. With a brief description, this project aims to. You have the choice of choosing a license. We list out several options. You can always upload a different license at a later point. I'm a big fan of Creative Commons Zero, fully public domain, so let's choose that. And then additionally, tag projects with interesting topics. So, for For example, maybe my project is related to 3D printing, so I'll choose 3D printing, and maybe I'm using an Arduino, and therefore you can also tag it. You can also invite people straight away if they're already by email or a username if they're already on Wikifactory, and we'll create the project. This will take you to a shell of a project. There's nothing there yet. So the first thing that you can do is start editing. You'll see that the view is very much the same as how it's like when you're looking at someone else's project. The only difference is that rather than saying follow here, now, because it knows that I'm the owner or the collaborator of this project, it gives me the option to edit. So across the board on Wikifactory is exactly like that. We don't take you to a template. We don't take you to an external form, apart from in the creation process that we've just gone through. But apart from that, once you do have a project or you do have content, you edit it on the page as is. So here I'm going to edit it. We can drag and drop an image. Which one am I going to choose? I actually don't know which which image I've just chosen, but you can drag and drop an image. You can change the description here. Note that in any comment section or any text section on Wikifactory, you can also do additional formatting in this WYSIWYG editor view. So here, maybe I want to just embolden project. Maybe I want to highlight. Hyperlink it to my website or whatever it might be. Now I'll save it. And so now the overview section is complete. Now I want to start uploading files. Now if I go to the file section, you can upload files by selecting it from your desktop. But if you like, you can all together drag and drop full-on folders to your projects, so that it might be that you already have your project on your Google Drive or on Dropbox. Download it and you can upload it as a full folder, and it will respect the different structures. Let's see if I can find a folder here. Yeah, let's take the DocuBot. It's a project that we're working on right now. I'm going to drag and drop it over to here. It will take some time because it's 27 items that needs to be uploaded. And once it is ready and it's uploaded to the servers, which will take a moment, you'll see what I mean of needing to contribute. Because all the changes that you do on your project, whether it's in files, I can leave that page, no problem. It's still happening, the uploading still happens, and I can, go to different places of the site, and it'll still be uploading in the background. It won't break the upload. But whatever changes that I do to a project, say I start writing to the README, everything has remained local until I do a contribution. So here you can see that I've uploaded the DocuBot folder, and now I can contribute it. It's successfully added it, so now I contribute. And I'll now give a title to that contribution, so uploaded files to repository. And now finalize it. When it's finishing generating the zip, it'll turn to a download button. And what you will see is that automatically when you contribute to the repository, it now has a log of that change. So from the get-go, it will log all the contributions that you do to the project. Carolina, you can see all the files that have been added. Now, Carolina, who's been invited to the project, can be like, hey, Christina, you forgot this file, or thanks, if she just wants to say, to recognize that she's seen the upload. So that's how we handle folders, upload, and so forth. And to begin doing documentation, I could open a document, a README file, like I said, in any individual folder, but I'm actually keen to do an overview README. So I go to the overview section, I start writing, and here you will see what I'm talking about in terms of the WYSIWYG editor. So my project is about this. I hope to resolve this issue with hardware, let's say. I can, when you go into a new line, you can add photo or video. If it's photo, you can select the photo from your desktop. If it's a video, you can post a YouTube or Vimeo link and press enter and it'll preview it for you. Additionally, there's a little bit more formatting that you can do in the README. For example, what can we say? To get started, here you can see if I select something, we have additional formatting options. So I can do bullet points, I can do what's called numbered lists if I wanted. You can convert something into a header. You can make things as a quote. You can make, perhaps you're sharing code on how to program your Arduino, where you can also you can convert something into code, as you can see here. There's different formatting options. Once you're ready, obviously, this is just one section. You can add as many sections as you like. As you can tell, every time that you add a section, it adds it to this table of content, so that it's easier to navigate. So typically, maybe you're going to be working on a bill of materials. If it's a 3D printing, I'm just, giving some ideas here of what you might be sharing, so on and so forth. I think it's always nice to end with a call to action, making it very clear how others can get involved. But the moment that you're ready to, or you've added as much documentation as you'd like in that session, you save draft. Again, when you save draft, it's just a local commit. It's just visible to you. As you can see, it's just a local change. You'll have to contribute the change if you want others to be able to see it. So you can click through to here. Now you can see that a new README file has been added, and I can contribute. So I just started with the README, and I finalized.
See you. Have a good day.
And now you can see that the new contribute message is here. I'm just getting started with this project. I have a whole bunch of issues and questions as to how I can start. So here I can start with involving Carolina, let's say, with helping me advance with the project. So maybe I'm not sure whether I'm going to be using an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. And Carolina has more knowledge than I on this. So I'll open an issue. I will assign it to her.
Oh, it's open.
And she'll be notified that she has to take a look, and she'll be able to respond in the discussion. When I feel like it's ready and we have an answer whether we're going to go Arduino or we're going to go Raspberry Pi, I can close the issue. And as you can see, now it's visible in the closed issue. I mentioned about labels. Here you can see the base labels, but I'm going to, this is a work in progress, so I want to mark what is to do. Let's choose a nice purple. And I also want to create doing, so it's clear to others that we're working on it. Give it a gray. This I think is really nice in terms of giving a flexible way of whether it's for tasks, for feedback, or for general inquiry, to be able to enable that within your team and beyond. If you want to involve people into your project, just click through to settings. You can invite people as admins, meaning that they will have full access to project, whether to contribute to the files, to the README, invite members, or you can invite just collaborators. Collaborators have the same access in terms of read and write, but they can't invite other collaborators. That's the only difference. You can invite people by email or via username, but also super simple. You can create a link and use that link to share to whether it's to your Slack channel or maybe it's, you really want to push this as an open project and share it to your Facebook or whatever social media site that you might want to use to catalyze a community around your project. Last but not least, this is the process to create a project. If at any time you have any doubt as to how to do anything, there's two ways that you can get support. On the one hand, this plus button has a help improve Wikifactory option, which if you click through to it, it will take you to our forum. Within our forum, we have a space to welcome ideas for feature requests. You can share with us any bugs. Hugs also welcome. So this is a public space for support. I think it's always nicest to do it in a public way because an idea that you might have, others might share it, so they'll be able to rally with you and tell the Wikifactory team that this is the next best thing and we should listen to you. Or it's a bug that in fact others are facing, and therefore if we do it publicly, others can learn. But there's also a space for private consultation. If you ever have any doubts and you just want to speak to the Wikifactory team, at any time you can click through to this chat and start a conversation with us and be like, and you can see that it's Christina, myself, and Carolina here. It might look like a very standard chatbot, but it definitely isn't. It's kind of like our WhatsApp to the community. We are really keen to fast in responding to any issues and having more of a human-to-human interaction and getting to know a little bit more about what your issue is. So we have you can have a full-on conversation with us if need be on any doubts or any help that you might need to get started. And without further ado, I'm going to go back to projects.fablabs.io and welcome you guys to ask any questions. Hello.
Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. It looks like it's basically everything that we were waiting for. I just have two questions. It might be a little tricky, but in order to, I wanted to understand how long this platform was going to be out there on the internet for, because it's always a lot of effort to put everything on it. I wanted to know a bit more about Wikifactory, the legal status of the platform, what runs it, and how you keep yourself running. Is there any funding or where you get your funding from, which is important in order to carry on? That's my question.
Wow, two really super important questions, Baptiste, like incredibly important. Because, well, first of all, it's true, there's always a risk. We're a startup, so there's always the risk that we might close down, although that's the last thing that we would want, obviously. But for that reason, we have already quite important communities on Wikifactory that we have a responsibility for. We want them to thrive ultimately. This is why we built Wikifactory. So our promise is twofold. On the one hand, we don't lock you in. We try to, in the same way that you can upload and start a project on Wikifactory simply at any point of time, all you need to do is simply download your project and you can upload it elsewhere. We don't transcode any files, so any original files are kept as original files. So we don't transcode in any way. And that's why we chose to make sure that the README was a markdown file, so it can be interoperable. Anytime, of course, your source files are kept as is, but any additional content that you produce on Wikifactory, like the README documentation, that is always a work in progress, so by all means, download it, and you'll be able to upload it in some other markdown, share it in another platform if need be. So that's our promise, on the one hand, making sure that, at any point you can just export and take it elsewhere, and two, our promise to not transcode or change files that you upload so that we don't lock you in. In terms of how we've come this far, so Wikifactory has been developed since 2015. We're a private startup, so we're investment driven. We made this decision several years back when we recognized that we were in an institution that had the possibility to go for grant funding or otherwise. And we have relationships with really, let's say, long-term visioned investors. So we're not VC funded. Our funds are more interested in our long-term value that we can create with Wikifactory, which is really important for us. Like, choosing the right investors has been key to us thus far, and we'll continue to do that. We have funds for the next year, and we're already preparing for our next round. That said, we're also part of now we are in a position to be part of EU funding programs, so we're also getting funds from more R&D programs that can help us take Wikifactory to the next level. Because the truth is, what you see now, I'm going to share my screen again, but what you see now is very much the collaboration infrastructure for the design and project management area. But if we are truly going to develop a model to enable iteration in projects, there is this other side of the coin, which is manufacturing the products, making it possible to, once you are ready with the new prototype, to be able to send a file to be fabricated by the network. So this is where it is also really exciting, and it's not Wikifactory alone that is hoping to enable it. FabLabs.io is also at the heart. So FabLabs.io, whether it's the actual Fab Labs themselves or other networks like MakerNet and so on, there's increasingly a whole network of different services that can offer fabrication on demand. The idea is that we are building on top of the repository system, so that, once you create a project, it's not just to welcome the team collaborators that are developing the project, but also being able to link in fabrication services to your repository and have that one place where they can access your files. So you don't have to worry to send your files by email to your fabricator or to the prototyping service. You give them a webhook to your repository, and that way you know that they're working with the latest version. In fact, they can ask for further documentation if it's needed, be able to ask any questions through the issues. I think there's an exciting opportunity of really building this internet of production that's not just focused on design collaboration, but also the other side of the coin, which is actually fabricating and prototyping your designs. Hope that answered your question, Baptiste.
Thank you so much for your transparency. This is excellent. Yeah, I have no more question on my side. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Who are you?
Great. Hi. Hi, my name is Ejaz Zahid. I work in the University of Sheffield. And I think this is a fantastic project, and I think it has great potential. We run a lot of makeathon type events there, and we'd love to incorporate this into that. One thing I wanted to ask is, how well does this platform work on mobile smartphones, particularly cheaper smartphones? Because one area of interest that I have is utilizing Fab Labs in low-income countries and low-resourced areas where people might not have access to fast broadband infrastructure.
That's so cool. Actually, we've been prototyping recently on how to use Wikifactory for hackathons because it's always been something that we wanted to test out. So actually, Carolina was just part of a hackathon in Porto, working around the SDG goals, and there was 7 teams using Wikifactory to document their projects during the day, and also to then be able to leave behind something that can being developed, and it was a great success. We now have the DocuBot challenge. That's a distributed hackathon that's going to happen in Chicago, Madrid, and Shenzhen, all on the same weekend. So the platform where all the teams share their work and their documentation is going to be core. So I'm really happy that you're thinking about how to use Wikifactory for that, or more specifically, I would hope that you do it under project.fablabs.io. But in terms of responding to your question about how well it works on phones, indeed, so you can't edit content on the phone, so you can't edit a README on your phone, but you can view any of the files. I'm actually going to test it out with you. I'm going to send you a link here in the chat, and if you like, you can copy paste it to, I don't know, your WhatsApp to see if you can open it on your mobile, and you'll see that you'll be able to view that step file.
Thank you.
Directly
I'll
on
try
your
that.
mobile.
I'll
Which
try
is
it
really
now.
amazing. But what you can do is apart from edit any content, which we will have in place in time, but minimally right now, what you can do on your mobile is view all the content. You can comment. If there's you can comment on files through your mobile. So indeed, if you send a link to your file, someone can respond to it on their mobile. You can open issues on your mobile. So anything that's engaging with content, viewing content, opening issues are available on mobile. What you just can't do is edit the README, basically.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
An absolute pleasure. And if you're curious to know more about how we went about with it, Carolina, I'm sure can send you some of the evidence of what resulted with the Makeathon in Oporto, and also what we're doing with the DocuBot if it's of help.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Nice.
Any other question? No? No one?
There's never a wrong question or a wrong answer. In any case, there's a lot to sink in, granted, and I welcome you guys to all take your own time to go through it all. And like I say, we're always available for any questions directly through the chat or through the forum, the support forum. Taking a lot of time in the past to help some projects to get started. What's really exciting is that we're going to be announcing this in Fab 15, and I'm really keen to highlight the amazing projects of this community as demonstration of what is possible. So if you're interested, just let us know. we're more than happy to have a dedicated session with you to see how we can ultimately take advantage of these new functionalities and put you front and center of the announcement at 5:15.
Yes, guys. As Christina said, basically, thank you for your time. We are improving as much as we can and integrating with other platforms instead of creating our own, because we want to have like this collaborating system of platforms. And with Wikifactory, we're trying to embrace that spirit that we have all been like promoting for the couple of years now. So I think it's all for today. Thank you for your time. If you want to have like this one-on-one sessions, maybe because you have a special project and you need assistance, you can contact me, Christina, or Carolina if you need it, and we will arrange that for you. We will definitely have a session in Fab 15 regarding all these new upgrades and changes and how we can improve it in a more dynamic way. And I think that will be like all for today. Thank you for your time. And if you know of people that would like to be part of this and are interested in that this will be helpful for them, you're welcome to share all this information. We will share the recorded session today with all of you. This way we can we don't need to repeat over and over again. We can just send all this information. And I think that's all. I don't know if Christina or Carolina want to say something else.
No, just thank you to you, Norella, for facilitating this, and to everyone for today. It's really nice. Thanks for your questions as well.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much to all. Ciao, tschüss.